Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko. Today we are going to talk about Chapter 2, Thinking Like an Economist, the Economist as Policy Advisor. We begin with the difference between positive and normative analysis. Positive statements attempt to describe the world as it is. They are descriptive. They confirm or refute by examining evidence. In other words, positive statements will provide proof and statistics. For instance, minimum law, minimum wage law cause unemployment is a positive statement. We can verify that minimum wage law will increase unemployment. Another example is the government will increase tax revenue by increasing taxes is a positive statement. On the other hand, normative statements attempt to describe how the world should be. They are prescriptive. In other words, normative statements are personal opinion. They are value judgment. Usually, when you see the word should, then you are dealing with a normative statement. For instance, the government should raise minimum wage is a normative statement. Another example is the government should increase taxes is a minimum is a normative statement. One of the job of the economist is to be member of the Council of Economic Advisor. They advise the President of the United States about economic issues. They also provide annual economic report of the President. So policy application in the country is not easy. Let's look at this picture. The President here is talking to two of his advisors. He said, "Let's switch. I will make the policy, and you, the first advisor, will implement it, and he will explain it. The second advisor will explain it." Economists in Washington work in the Office of Management and Budget, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Labor, which is a big department. The Department of Labor is in charge of publishing in unemployment, in inflation, and wages. The Department of Justice, Congressional Budget Office, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the central bank in the US and is in charge of conducting monetary policy. Economists may disagree. The disagreement is based on the validity of alternative positive theory about how the world works. Economists may also have different value, different, normative view about what the policy should try to accomplish. For instance, one economist might say that the government should, increase minimum wage. Another, another, so economists may say no, increasing the minimum wage will lead to higher unemployment. Therefore, we should drop, the minimum wage law. Differences in value also lead to disagreement among economists. For instance, Peter and Paula take the same amount of water from the town where Peter's income is $100,000 a year, and he pay only 10%, of the $100,000, which is, for taxes, which is $10,000. On the other end, Paula incomes is $20,000 a year, and she pay 20% of the $20,000, which is as taxes, which is $4,000. Is this policy fair? So if not, who's paying too much, who's paying too little? So this simple example show why economists sometimes may disagree about public policy. Table 1 summarize proposition about which most economists agree. For instance, 93% of economists agree that a ceiling on rent reduces the quantity and quality of housing available. Another example, 93% of economists agree that tariff and import quota usually reduces general economic welfare. Another example, 90% of economists agree that fiscal policy, example, tax cut or government expenditure increase, has a significant stimulate impact on a lesser full employed economy. In the appendix, we are going to talk about graphing, a brief review. The purpose of graphs is to visually express idea that might be less clear if described with equation or word. Graphs also are powerful way of finding and interpreting pattern. There are three types of graph for a single variable. We have pie graph, pie chart, bar graph, and time series graph. This is an example of a pie chart. So this pie chart shows the distribution of U.S. national income in 2011. So looking at the chart, we can see that the higher, share of the income went to the employees for 62% as compensation. The lowest, share of the income went to landlord as rental income for only 3%. Another example, corporate profit was 14% given to businesses. This is an example of a bar graph. The bar graph, this bar graph in panel B compare the, the 2011 average income in four countries. For instance, the average income per person in the US was $47,210. The average income in the United Kingdom was $35,620. The average income in Mexico was $14,350. The average income in India was $3,330. By comparing this for average income, we can see that the average income in the US is about 1.3 times the average income in UK. It's about 3.3 times the average income in Mexico, and it's about 14.2 times the average income in India. Panel C is an example of time series graph. This panel shows the productivity of labor in the US businesses from 1950 to 2010. Let me ask you the following question. What is the trend of this graph? Is it positive or negative? Looking at the graph, you can see that the the productive indicator is gradually increasing, so it's a positive slope, or the graph is positively slope or upward sloping. So, for instance, in 1950, the productive index in the US was 30. In 1980, the productive index in the US was about 60. In 19 in 1990, the productivity index in the US was about 70. In 2000, the productive index in the US was about 110. So you can see that there is a gradual increase of labor productivity in the USA. So and we talk about that in chapter one that so increase in productivity of labor, this will lead to increase in average income. This will lead to also economic growth. Now let's talk about the slope. What is the slope? The slope is the ratio of the vertical distance covered to the horizontal distance covered as we move along the line. To measure the slope, we use the Greek letter delta, which is going to change in the variable. So it's delta is the slope equal to the rise, which is the change in the y, divided by the run, which is the change in the x. So slope equal to change in y divided by change in x. So what is the meaning of the slope? The slope describes the relationship between x variable and the y variable. For instance, if the slope equal to negative 3, which is a downward sloping graph, so 3 over 1. So for every unit of x, we must give up 3 units of y. If the slope equal to positive 5, positive 8, for instance, 1, for every unit of x, we will get a unit of y. Now let's compute the slope of a line. This is a demand curve, and it's a straight line. It's downward sloping for any point, meaning that for any point on the line, the slope is going to be constant. For any 2 points on the line, the slope will be constant. So to compute the slope here, we're going to pick a 2 point. So point A with coordinate 13 and 8. So meaning for every 13 noble purchases, you have to pay $8. So let's pick also point B with coordinate 21 and 6, meaning that for every 21 noble purchases, you must pay $6. So to compute the slope, we take the rise, which is measured here on the vertical axis, divided by the run, which is measured on the horizontal axis. So we take a 6 minus 8, which is negative 2. We divide by 21 minus 13, which is 8. So negative 2 divided by 8 equal to 1/4. 1/4 is the slope of this demand curve. What is the meaning of 1/4? For every for every for every noble purchases, you must pay 25 cents. In other words, the ratio is negative 1 to 4, which means that for every 4 noble processes, you have to pay $1. This is the end of chapter 2. Thank you.